The world ends more often than you think. Once, in a quiet little village nestled between tall mountains and a whispering forest, there lived a young girl named Lina. Lina loved stories, stories of heroes, of magic, of faraway lands. But her favorite stories were the ones her grandmother told, the ones about how the world had ended many times before. "Grandmother," Lina asked one evening as they sat by the fire, "how can the world end more than once? If it ends, wouldn't everything be gone?" Her grandmother smiled, her eyes twinkling like the stars above. "Ah, child, the world does not end the way you think. It does not vanish in fire and smoke, not always. Sometimes it ends quietly, like a candle flickering out. Other times it ends with a great change, like winter turning to spring." Lina frowned. "But how?" "Let me tell you a story," her grandmother said. "Long ago, before people walked the earth, the world belonged to the giants. They were mighty beings as tall as mountains, and they shaped the land with their hands. But the giants grew proud. They tore the earth apart, fighting among themselves until the ground could no longer bear their weight. One day, the earth shook, and the giants fell into the deep cracks they had made. The world as they knew it had ended. But from the ruins, small creatures emerged, tiny compared to the giants, but full of life. They were the first animals, and later the first people. The world had ended for the giants, but for these new beings it was just the beginning. Lina's eyes widened. "So, the world ended for the giants, but not for everyone else." "Exactly," her grandmother said. And that was not the only time. She told Lina of another age, when great cities of glass and silver stretched across the land. The people there lived without hunger or sickness, for they had machines that could do anything. But they forgot the sky, the trees, the songs of birds. They lived inside their towers, never looking beyond them. Then, one day, the machines stopped. No one knew how to fix them. The cities fell silent. The people wandered away, learning to live with the earth again. For them, the world of machines had ended. But for the ones who remembered the old ways, it was a new dawn. And then, her grandmother continued, there was the time the stars themselves changed. Long ago, the night sky was not as it is now. The stars were arranged in different patterns, telling different stories. But one night, a great wind blew through the heavens, scattering the stars like leaves. The people cried, for they had lost their guides, their myths written in the sky. But as time passed, new stories were born from the new constellations. The world of the old sky had ended, but the new sky gave birth to new legends. Lina sat in silence for a while, watching the fire dance. "So, the world keeps ending, but it's never truly gone." "Yes," her grandmother said. "Endings are just the space between one story and the next. Even now, somewhere the world is ending in small ways. A forest burns, and new seeds sprout. A river changes its course, leaving behind old shores. A person wakes up one day and realizes they are no longer who they were. Their old world has ended." Lina thought about this. She thought about the fallen giants, the silent cities, the shifting stars. She thought about the little endings in her own life, the day she outgrew her favorite dress, the season the old apple tree stopped bearing fruit. Endings aren't sad?" she asked. "They can be," her grandmother admitted. "But they are also necessary. Without them, there would be no room for new beginnings." That night, as Lina lay in bed, she looked out her window at the stars. She wondered if, somewhere among them, another world was ending. And if, somewhere else, another child was listening to a story about how endings are just the start of something new. And so, as she closed her eyes, she whispered to the night, "Goodbye, old world. Ill one. Because the world ends more often than you think, but it always begins again,